All right, we're back after a month where we were more consistent than ever. The draft happened, and then immediately we fell off a cliff because we did the draft content, and then we did camp, and then we both had a lot of stuff going on in our personal lives. But almost a month after the last episode, we're back to talk about the draft and to talk about camp because we were both there and we both had a good amount of fun and some good experiences talking to the guys. So Matt, how are you?
I'm great.
Oh, that's it? Just two words? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, not every detail needs to be shared. I'm great.
I mean, okay, sure. Well, I guess we can just start with going over the draft, which we did a live stream over 2 days, which was really fun until the second day near the end, where my internet decided to just give me the biggest middle finger at the round six mark and just go, yeah, no, you're not gonna do this for a long time. And I was like, all right, thanks. 4.5 hours Friday, no issue whatsoever. But Saturday at 5 p.m. and it's like, yeah, you're funny, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a very fun time. Definitely a lot more people than I thought were gonna show up, and maybe someday in the future when I am back at school and my schedule, I have it down to a routine. Maybe we'll do a live podcast eventually. Probably it would be a long time from now, but it would be something to think about in the future. But let's get on to the draft picks, and we're gonna go, or at least I have them all pulled up in order to talk about because I'm kind of smart like that, even though this is on the fly. So first up, we have the only goalie they took, which now makes it, if I'm not mistaken, 5 deep in the prospect pool. They have 5 goalie prospects now. Not because it's
Big
this
East, they
guy.
remember.
Yeah. You're talking about WWE, man. AEW All In, because this is gonna go up Saturday. That's at 3 p.m. Yeah, buddy, I'm there.
No,
That
AEW's dead to me now.
that what did they do to you?
They,
No, man. I'm sitting here for this. I want to hear it.
oh,
Yeah,
no, I
I'm gonna
can't.
wait. Oh. Um, no, man. I'm sorry. I gotta. That I got me back into wrestling, and they got their big show on Saturdays. So that I'm excited about that. In any case, we're talking about Semyon Frolov, not AEW. Semyon Frolov was the Canes' highest goalie drafted since Pyotr Kochetkov. Coincidentally enough, he also plays in the Russian hockey system, and also shockingly, he is Russian. Frolov's sick. He is 6'3". He has dropped to under, or I think he gained. No, he dropped to under 200.
Yeah.
He was one of the
He's
two.
196, I think.
Yes, he is 6'3", 196. A very nice person to talk to as well. Knew a handful of English. A very expressive dude on the ice from time to time, especially against the Russian guys that were at camp. He was making sure they knew that they could not score on him, and it was very funny. But that's what we've kind of seen from a lot of the younger Russian goalies, like last year with Hajayev and Velmakin. They were very, very vocal in letting the people know that they were not scoring, and even when they did, they still had a good laugh out of it. But Frolov is sick. He's big. He's technically sound. He plays very aggressively, which needs to get reined in, but stats look good, technical ability looks good, his skating looked good, good human being. Very big fan of the pick.
Yeah, me too. I think, Carolina needed a goalie, and they needed a good goalie in their system. Like, it's not a disrespect to Nikita Kvap, Ruslan Hazayev, or, the other goalies in the system, Jacob Vondras. But,
I just mentioned the other one. You just coincidentally skipped over him.
oh, did I? Who is the other one? Who am I completely forgetting
You're
right now?
missing Igor, man.
Oh, Igor
So
Vomikin.
rude.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Igor. But, all of those guys are kind of unproven. And to an extent, Frolov is too, right? But, he was pretty clearly the second best goalie in Europe, arguably the first. Depends on who you liked
It
more.
was a toss up between him and Andreyanov.
Right, and the Canes took the goalie that's bigger and arguably more projectable, which I like. And I think they completed two things there. They picked who was probably the best player available, while also filling a need in the system, and that's pretty admirable. With you know the 41st pick, I had to stop and think of which pick it was because
That was the first
they
of their
traded down quite a few.
yeah that was the first of their, if I'm not mistaken, three second rounders. So
Yeah, and I think with Frolov, you like the upside there. Like he's one of the few goalies in that draft that had a chance to start.
yeah, definitely. I liked a lot of what I saw from him at camp. I can probably say he was the best goalie there, the one that I had the most fun watching. Um, there was a tweet that got included from me in the Canes or in Walt's recap of Dev Camp where he talked about Frolov, and all it was just first impression of Semyon Frolov, yes, all the way yes. And I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, no, Semyon Frolov is sick.
It's just fascinating the way he skates. Like robotic in like a not bad way. Like to where it's just he's so controlled with his movements, and like you can tell like he's goofy and like in a goalie type of way, but then the second it comes to like
When he
game
needs to
time,
lock
or like
in, he locks in.
it's just his brain just immediately locks in, and that's mentally, I think, as a goalie, that's something that you really need to have.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, we did get the opportunity to talk to him through a translator, thankfully enough, because we I know about this much Russian, and if I spoke one singular word of it to either of them, and it was just hello, because I was terrified. And we had a translator who was very nice, so it helped us out a little bit. He was very complimentary of the Hurricanes organization as a whole. Said he was really happy to get picked at where he was from the comfort of Miami, Florida, and the Gold Star watch party. He wanted to go to the draft, just couldn't. He was just happy for all the other guys, and he was just very complimentary overall. He's a funny guy. He's a Matt, you mentioned the quirkiness that he possesses, and Russian goalies to me, and the ones that I've spoken with, and that's only technically now 3 of them. They have the same sort of like way that they talk and the way that they act that kind of relates them to each other, and it's a very interesting way, and it's very funny to me. It might not be funny to other people, but it's hilarious to me. So
Yeah. I was gonna say something else. Never mind. I don't remember.
okay. Well, moving on from Frolov, who filled one need in the prospect pool, we're going now to another. The top 2 picks, they had holes to fill in the system, and my goodness, they did it. We're on to Charles Chuck Serrato. Chuck is such a funny nickname.
Also, Charlie,
I said Charlie. I said Charlie Chuck. Charlie Chuck Serrato. The 3 C's. Kind of like the Big Baller brand, but it's all just Chuck. Double overager from the University of Penn State, and whenever he got taken, if you were watching the stream, Matt and I both kind of went, okay. We were both very confused. The more or at least the more that I looked into it, the more I was like, okay, I see the vision and what they were going for, because a guy like Serrato is just he has a very high high floor, because you kind of know what you're going to get from him. You saw what he was freshman year at Penn State, helping lead them to a Frozen Four for the first time in a long time for them. And you see the way that he plays the game, and you definitely saw it in camp that he's a very fierce competitor, and he has a solid understanding of what needs to be done defensively as a center, and he probably projects as a center at the NHL level, which is something the Hurricanes would like. He's never going to be a top 6 guy. He's going to be a beautiful bottom 6 energy center who's going to piss other teams off, and it's awesome, and Serrato is really cool for that reason.
I don't necessarily think I agree with the bottom six label right now.
That's where I see it personally, but
I think he's a guy that's versatile. He could play up and down in the lineup. You know, like there's skill to his game. We saw it. You know, he's got some skill. I think we got to see it in the small area drills, in the scrimmages on the last day of camp. We definitely saw it with the highlight you posted the other day of his assist to
yeah,
send
that was
Penn
pretty
State to the
sick.
Frozen
Yeah.
Four. Like, you know, it's a sick play, sick entry. Like he's got some skill to his game. I think, you know, he's one of those players that just kind of developed later than maybe he thought. And that's fine. Like he probably, I mean, he started with the NTDP, and that's a tough program to play for if you're not one of the top guys. You're not getting a ton of the matchups. You know, a lot of the guys who don't play the NTD or don't choose to play the NTDP because they don't want the bottom six role go on to play USHL. So he's not stuck. He's stuck with a little bit of worse players, like, you know. And then you see him play with Youngstown the next year, and he did well. Like, you know, Darren York said he probably could have gotten drafted last year, 2024, just didn't. This is a guy that was over a point per game player as a freshman at college. And sure, he did it at 19 years old. Well, he was a little older, but like that's still very impressive. Like
365 days to me, it is a year, but I mean, the difference between 18 and 19 at the college level is maybe like 5 to 10 pounds of muscle. About other than that, maybe some higher level like game IQ and like knowing how fast the pace of play is going to be. But to me, it's still really impressive that you do it as a freshman.
yeah, and most of the players he's playing against are older than him.
100%, especially in the Big Ten. Big Ten is a tough league, and it's only going to get tougher. Even though he got some nice reinforcements coming in Penn State.
Yeah, so like I mean, I see Serrato being a type of player that Rod Brindamore is going to play wherever. You know, like he has, you know, the dog per 60.
Oh my dude,
as we say.
Posting that made me so happy because I was like, I can finally use that as a justifiable thing because my god.
And I see a lot of people being like, "Oh, like, you know, it's bad that he went after Rykov. It's bad that
Man,
he
shut up.
Shut up."
Dude.
Listen, like, let me tell you, it is so good seeing players pissed off. Like, it's really good seeing that fire in a player because, like, yes, it's practice. Like, you want a player to be that dedicated, that passionate. You want them to have that fire. Like, you don't want a player to just, like, get hit in practice and then just be like, whatever, shrug it off. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, that's somebody who has an attitude and a work ethic and just a commitment that's going to take them probably a lot further than it should. You know, like, that's why I'm saying, like, he could play on the second line in the NHL because he has the intangibles that coaches just love.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. That's just for me where I have it. But again, I'd like to be proven wrong. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about that. And yeah, there's a fine line for me. I think fighting in prospect scrimmages dumb. Don't ever do that. I think
Like actual dropping the gloves fighting,
like
yeah,
whatever
like we saw in
happened.
Toronto.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
whatever
that's
happened at
dumb.
Leafs camp. That's stupid. But the competitiveness that I saw, where they're fighting for every loose puck, they're fighting like going into board battles and being genuinely physical and getting pissed off when you don't score or being pissed off that something happened. That's cool.
Because
There's
like
a line.
even Ryabkin was getting kind of mad at John
Hey! We're getting that. We're getting there.
I know, but like I'm saying, like, you know, it's good to see that.
That was the next person we're talking about. You're jumping ahead. The flow.
I'm
Everything was
rusty. We haven't done this in a while.
All right. Well, next up, since Matt spoiled it, this was one where we got caught extremely off guard. I think we can both confidently say I got caught off guard heavily because everything I was seeing was that Ryabkin was he just had a big red flag like stapled to his back. But obviously the Canes didn't view it like that. They said, I'm drafting talent and we'll figure out the rest later. And well, let me tell you what. He was probably one of my favorite players to watch at camp. In the scrimmages, he's doing incredibly cool things. In the big scrimmage as well, like the long ice, whenever he has time and space, he's very, very dangerous with the puck on his stick. He can make something happen that, is impressive for a guy that is 18. So he gets taken end of the second round. And I know a big thing as well coming out of the combine was that he was overweight, and measurables already got updated from the Canes because I'm guessing they took them, and he's under 200, which, for the way he plays, maybe I want you to hover 200, but for right now, it's probably okay since you're playing junior level. But Ryabkin, if his talent level hits, and I'm going to stress that with all of my might, if he gets to his fullest potential, this is probably a top 15, top 20 guy in this draft class easily because of the offense that he possesses and the style of game that he has. Again, he has to hit it and nothing is guaranteed. But my original assessment from when the pick happened to what I saw in camp is a lot more positive comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can say the case with like a lot of players in this draft is like if they hit, they're going to be great. With Ryabkin, like the skill and what he can do with the puck, the hockey sense, the skating, the physicality, like the total package of what he can do on the ice warrants a top 15 pick. It was everything else that people were worried about.
That is true, yeah.
Like he's Russian. That's number one. Like let's just get that out of the way. That takes him off.
Dumb red flag, but
that takes him off of at least 5 teams' draft boards.
I get it,
which is stupid.
It's a dumb red flag, but works for me.
Yeah, he has reported attitude issues. Reported.
All rumors.
And then reportedly he came in overweight at camp.
Which, I mean, he's already under 200, so I think I'm okay.
Which is great. I think that's important because, like, he needs to be in shape to play for this team. Let's be real. Like,
well, yeah.
Hurricanes play a very grinding style of hockey. But like, skill-wise, it made so much sense for Carolina to take this player. For me, I just didn't think they'd do it. I just thought
we both were like, ugh.
But then you look at it and you're like, this was the most Carolina pick ever. Like,
yeah, I had a tweet on my personal account when Cam Robinson posted something about Ryabkin and like red flags, and I just tweeted a Hurricanes flag waving, and then I kind of went, maybe not. If he's there like late in the draft, maybe you take a shot. But then after backtracking, it ends up happening, and I kind of have to go, I get it. But again,
it makes a lot of sense. Like, Ryabkin being the enigmatic Russian of this draft, like, you can pretty much just put the stamp Carolina Hurricanes right on him.
Yeah.
Watching him in camp was really fascinating because, like, I felt like he didn't do super great in like the endurance drills. Like the resistance skating drills, I thought he was just kind of okay in, but like the power skating, I thought he did pretty well in. And then when they get to like the actual skill drills, you're like, oh, I mean, like, yeah,
you see, dude,
this is immediately one of the top forwards in the Hurricane system.
Son, that man was shooting laser beams. I couldn't believe my eyes.
He's still probably got a worse shot than like Bradley Nadeau does.
That's what I've said is that Nadeau is still the best one that I've seen, but Ryabkin is definitely up there.
Yeah, he's probably a top 3 shooter in the system, and I'm not sure he's number 3.
I was gonna say, who would you have number 2?
Poirier.
That I think I actually said that verbatim was that I think Nadeau's number 1, but you could definitely argue between Ryabkin and Poirier.
Yeah, and then like you could make an argument for, I think, like Robidas got a really good shot.
Yeah.
Especially off the rush. And then you're getting into like another player who we'll talk about a little later, who had, I think, a much better shot than I anticipated.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I think I know who you're talking about. But let's move on to the next player that definitely you can immediately go, this player's solely dropped because he is Russian. The man from Dagestan. Still the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Kurbin Limitov, who I cannot believe they got him where they did. He is a third round pick, and I still cannot believe that because, my God, most publications had him as a first round pick. And you have to go back and go, well, why was he a third round pick? And I'm still scratching my head on that, except for the fact that, he's Russian, but technically Dagestani. But, yeah, so Limitov is, dude, I, mm, I, mm, this Limitov is so sick. He's one of the best skaters in this draft, and I'm so pissed off that we didn't get to see it at camp because I feel as if he would have looked super, super good out there. This is a 6'4", almost 200-pound defenseman who just moves incredibly. There's a lot to like in his transition game as well, from what I've seen, as well as, there's still a lot of potential in his offense, in his defense, but you draft for the tools that he has and that he already has shown to have in his mobility. Because a guy that's 6'4" that has true four-way mobility, that moves freely and can help in transition, which is a trait to me that is very easily translatable to the current modern day NHL. And you go, yeah, no, I see the vision with how they got. I see the vision of the player and how he can become an NHL guy. I still cannot believe he was a third round pick, but I'm not complaining because he plays for the he is a Hurricanes prospect, and I get to cover him from now on, and I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, he was ranked as high as 25th. A lot of publications had him as like a early to mid second round pick. I think with Carolina, and I don't know if you mentioned this, Carolina traded up for this pick.
Yeah, I mean, I did not, because I genuinely couldn't remember, but yeah, no, and you know why they traded up for him, because how in the world is he still there at 67?
Yeah, they wanted their guy, and I think like Carolina's list, like the way it works is like they started to get a little nervous of saying like, all right, Kurbin's still available here, like we took the swing on Ryabkin because we didn't think he would be available. We have to make a move because Kurbin's gone by 87, which is when they made their next pick.
Yeah.
And they go out and draft, like for all the people who are like, Carolina doesn't draft size. They draft a 6'4", 192-pound defenseman who moves really well. I was disappointed we didn't get to see him. I guess he was hurt during prospects camp.
Walt said he was hurt, so I'm gonna say he was there.
He was there, which I think is good. He at least got to do the off ice things, which is important. Get to know the area, know the team, get to learn a little bit of what it's like to be a Carolina Hurricane. Like that's a big deal. And again, it's just a player. We've talked about it. Like you take players with projectable traits, right?
Yeah.
So you take the fact that he's an incredible skater. You take the fact that he's got the good reach. He's pretty aggressive defensively. He has a good amount of offense. It looks like, he's got some good puck skills and there's a desire for more offense. I think, he could be a pretty aggressive defenseman. Like that's a guy that you hope develops into an NHL player. Like he's certainly got the traits, and the aggressiveness I think really pays off. Like I hope that he doesn't stay in the MHL this year. I'm sure he'll get at least a handful of games, but I am hoping that he plays for Dynamo Moscow's VHL team because Timur Cole, I know, just got traded there.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. Because, well, actually, MHL preseason starts in like a week, but obviously none of the guys that were just taken will be MHL preseason. They will mainly be KHL preseason, and I think there's a VHL preseason. I could be wrong, but They will not be sniffing the MHL until the regular season if that is the case. But Kerbin, to me, was probably the biggest. Like, again, this is gonna sound kind of cheesy, but he, to me, was the biggest steal of their draft class, because getting a player with his traits and tools that was ranked as highly as he was in the third round, to me, is just incredible value. And I'm extremely happy with the pick. I was extremely happy when it happened. I was my reaction to that was probably really funny. But
No,
again,
we were both like really happy when that pick got made.
yeah, we were like, Kerbin's on the board. Kerbin's on the board. Limitov. Yeah.
We were very happy.
Next up was a guy that which is weird because he was a Russian 07 and I did nothing of research into him. But as soon as he got drafted, I said, I bet he's a big defenseman who could probably skate pretty well. And my God, he's 6'5", and what I saw in camp was disgustingly good. Roman Bausov is 6'5". He's 192, so he's ever so slightly bigger than Kerbin Limitov. And genuinely, when I watched him skate at camp, I was in shock and almost in awe of how a dude of his size is able to maneuver in the ways that he can, because no human being at 6'5" should be able to move like that.
No.
And what Tulsky and York have made very clear over what they mentioned in both Bausov and Limitov, and what they mentioned when they traded for Keandre Miller, who we're not going to talk about because we are not a Hurricanes-based podcast, we are just prospects, is that they value defensemen that can skate well and take away time and space. Roman Bausov skates incredibly well and effortlessly can take away time and space. And then you go, yeah, this makes sense. Bausov's
yeah, I mean, it helps when he has the wingspan of an albatross.
Man. I'm very happy I get to watch him in camp, because now I just have to watch him through grainy feeds. Actually, if he's in the MHL, I get YouTube footage, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
But he getting eyes on him is just sick, because you get a different level of appreciation for just how good these guys are when you get to watch them do it in person comparatively to just over the internet. And Bausov, he passes the eye test for me.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm glad we got to watch him, because looking at the counting stats, I was like, 11 points in 41 games, like that doesn't really stand out to me. But like, you watch him play and you go, this is a 6'5" defenseman that arguably is one of the best skaters of his age. Like, you know, I think there's whisperings that he was one of the best skaters in Russia of this draft class. Like, and he moves really well. Like, you know, he's very lanky. He's going to need to add a little bit of muscle to his frame to be stronger on pucks, but like his reach is incredible. He's got good defensive instincts. I think there's a little bit more offense in his game than I thought there was. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be great offensively, but I could see him being a guy that's able to help chip in on the rush, be able to, you know, move the puck out of the zone and, you know, at least facilitate the puck on the blue line. It's just, you know, at this point in the draft, again, you're taking those projectable traits, and a 6'5" defenseman that skates as well as he does, like that's a no-brainer to take.
Yeah, I can kind of see Bausov being like the perfect third pairing defenseman in the future.
Yeah,
like the just most ideal big-bodied good skater that can chip in on the PK, and you know, maybe gets like 20 points in a year, and you're like, yeah, no, he had a good year. I'm pretty happy with it. You can see the vision. Now, when you get to the 6th and 7th rounds, this is where you're going deep in your rankings, in your scouts expertise. You're going for guys like, oh, okay, we got to find somebody to take here. Or you can trade back, but more than likely you take a dart and you just launch it and see what sticks. And what stuck first is a tiny Swedish man. Well, actually, both of them, coincidentally enough, both darts
were tiny Swedes.
Were tiny Swedish men. But the first one was big. I shouldn't say big, but Viggo Nordland. He is all of 5'9". I can confirm that with both my eyes. He is all of 5'9". He plays in the same system that Oscar Voulet plays in right now for Skellefteå.
But he will not next season.
No, he is with IK Oscar Sham. Sham? Can you pronounce
Sure.
the N?
I don't know.
But with Nordland is that his offense, oh my good lord. He for a 5'9" player, he can shoot the crap out of the puck. Because I'm guessing that's who you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, his shot was the one that surprised me, I think, the most.
Yeah, that boy Vigo can rip a puck.
Yeah.
As well, his skating isn't too bad. That was another one of the big positives with him. And he just looked like a guy that you can see why he gets drafted, even though he is 5'9", and it was a horrible year to have your height start with a 5 and not a 6. But
Yeah,
you see why.
I think like a seventh of the players drafted were under 6 feet tall,
100%,
which is like historically low.
Yes. The last thing I'll mention before turning over to you. So mentioning Nordland in the same system as Voulet, they actually played together on a J20 National run, playoff run. They, I believe, won. I'm double checking.
The silver medalists.
No, they did. They won one year. They won silver.
Oh, they won it in 23-24. You're right.
Yes, they won the silver last year. And even last year, he had 12 points in 6 games, which was 5th in the playoffs. But in that 23-24 playoffs, the top 2 point getters were both from that Skellefteå roster. Vigo Nordland had 7 goals and 15 assists for 22 points in 9 games. Right behind him is Oscar Voulet with 14 goals, 7 assists, 21 points in 9 games. And you kind of go, yeah, this makes sense to just, hey man, you got a pick to use. You like a lot of the skill. You can almost probably call it dynamic skill that the guy possesses in his game. If he can translate it to the next level in the SHL, which he's already played, if you include playoffs, he's already played 22 SHL games. So, and he's just 18. So there's a lot to like there. And I see why they took him. He needs to probably get stronger because, again, he's 5'9". He will get pushed off very easily. But the amount of offensive upside that Nordland has is definitely interesting and something you probably like in the 6th round.
Yeah, he's one of the older players in the draft class, being I think he's
September 22nd, 06.
Yeah, so if he was born a week earlier, he would have been in last year's draft and probably gone around this range.
Yeah.
But something to keep in mind, he played in the U18s in the 23-24 season. He's had some time with the national team and done pretty well. I think with Nordland, what excites you the most is the goal scoring ticked up this year. He went from 9 goals to 24. He clearly was told to shoot the puck more. I would say he's probably one of the bigger offensive forces on his team. Yeah, the 1 point in 15 SHL games is a little disappointing, but I'm looking at the ice time here, and he's 13th forward.
Yes, that is 100% correct.
Because I'm seeing multiple games where he's getting less than 10 minutes, and you can't expect him to make an impact in that low of ice time at 18 years old. So the skills there. Again, you're throwing darts at the dartboard. You want to take a player yes, the Canes lack size in their system, but at that point in the draft, all of the big players that are worth a damn.
Who cares, dude? And I remember somebody replied on the Nordland selection and went, "Oh, the Canes draft is small players," and I went, "Brother, they've taken 2 in that, and they only took technically 3." But Ryabkin is 5'11", and that man does not play like he is sub 6 foot.
No, and I think your posts kind of helped ease people's minds
it's
on him.
It's man, dude.
Look at the players that were getting drafted around that time, and tell me
it was all just
you'd rather have the 6'3" guy that couldn't even score a point in the OHL this past year.
You know what? I'm gonna look it up because I'm little miffed. All right,
Like
100.
there were players getting picked that might not even play AHL hockey.
I'm seeing Alex Weirmeyer, right? Like 3 picks later, who is 6'1" in Portland, who was a double overager, who was barely over a point per game in the dub.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of guys around that spot where they were getting drafted solely because they were not under 5 foot. And like the guy almost Dawson Sharkey at the end of the round who went to Dallas had 39 points in 54 Q games.
Well, I'm
But
going to
he's
use the
6'1".
example of the Toronto Maple Leafs selected Ryan Fellinger, 7 points in 64 games. He's a defenseman, but still, like, Jan Chauvin picked right after. This is a guy who played in a worse U20 league this past year. He's 6'2". He played in a worse U20 league in Finland. Had 23 points in 39 games. Is going to Sudbury next year.
Yeah. So
Edison Engel. And look, I'll use Montreal drafting Andrew McNeil. 3 points in 33 games for Kitchener. But he's 6'3". Like, that's the problem, is like teams are taking all the big players that are good, and teams still, like, even with the Canes taking like a smaller forward, teams still continued to take bad players
yeah. So
just because they were tall, and in the hopes that they turn into something. But it's not the same as like Bausov, who at least has the good skating and the defensive IQ and the hockey sense, and maybe he develops offensively. They're taking players that can't skate, that don't have any offense, that like project as like an AHL depth piece. Like, that's not something I'm taking in the draft. I'd much rather swing for the fences, and if they strike out, so be it.
yeah,
It's a 6th-round pick.
100%. And that actually leads me into this into the last pick the Hurricanes took in this draft. When you look at this guy, and also right before him, Matthew, I don't think you pronounce the H, so it's Lacar, I believe is how you pronounce that, who was this 4 picks right before, had 8 points in 43 games for Kitchener, and is an overager.
As an overager, by the way.
6'3". This guy did not. He actually, in 7 games at the U18 championships, he had 18 points. 10 of those were goals. In his last 25 games that he played this year of just organized hockey, whether that be in the OHL, my God, the Canes went to the OHL, or the U18s, he had 46 points.
Yep.
I personally think he went lower in the draft because I think the skating, there is a little bit of a concern there, but what I saw in camp was that he's never going to be the fastest guy, but you don't need to be the fastest guy if you can still maintain what you're doing. But I sincerely think it's just because there is a 5 in front of his height. Because personally, we were clamoring for it in the 6th round. We both said, we want Philip Ekberg. And then the 7th round comes around, or at least I was saying I want Philip Ekberg. But then the 7th round comes around, you're 3 picks away from the end of the draft, and I go, this needs to be Philip Ekberg, who is still on the board, which is incredibly shocking to me. And my God, they picked Philip Ekberg. And, again, this is a guy who you might look at his OHL performance as a whole and go 45 and 53. That's, it's at the OHL. You could probably get a little bit more. But if I'm not mistaken, there was an injury at some point or an illness of some kind that kind of screwed up his season. And then he comes back and he absolutely tears it up. And more shocking to me was that teams value international performances highly. They look at U18s, Hlinkas, these preseasons, the World Juniors, and that's how they get a lot of their information is on the international stage. He led the World Junior champion, the U18s, and went in the 7th round. And
Yeah, and the other MVPs of that tournament include like Austin Matthews and like a bunch
it's
of
like
other like really
a
good
ton of
players.
the most high skill players like Matthews. Johnny Gaudreau was a winner a while ago. Like it's some of the like most high skill offensive players that you have seen, and this is a guy that goes in the 7th round. Now I'm not comparing Philip Ekberg to either of Johnny Gaudreau or Austin Matthews. I need to make that abundantly clear.
Yeah,
But Philip Ekberg to me, was an excellent bet in the 7th round because you're drafting a guy for his skill and ability with the puck on his stick. He will probably never be the fastest guy on the ice. You don't need to be the fastest guy on the ice. As long as you can maintain a solid skating base, you will probably have some success if you have other good abilities in your game that stick out more. Ekberg does. His shot is okay from what I saw in camp. His playmaking is really solid from what I saw in camp. This is
yeah,
a guy you take a
really
swing
good
on.
hockey skills.
This is a guy you take a swing on. And they got it in the 7th round.
Yeah, I
Neat.
mean, I think with Ekberg, like he's not like a Jackson Blake level bad skater.
No. Let me.
Like,
He's
I
not
mean, but
horrible.
even Jackson Blake's an NHL player. He had almost 40 points this past year. I think with Ekberg, like you're relying on the small area skill and the hockey sense to pay off. Like you're hoping he becomes like a Teuvo Teravainen type.
Yeah. And which is really funny because they look almost exactly like.
I mean, it is scary. He's even got like the like half smirk that Teuvo used to have. Like, it's weird. But like you're kind of hoping he turns into like a shifty playmaker that just does a lot of things well. Like he's 5'10", 172 pounds. Like I think the injury that he had at the start of the year was really bad. Like it really hurt his playing. So I think that the team. I think Ottawa maybe didn't get to see the best in him. They also weren't the best team this past year. They missed
Yeah.
the playoffs in the OHL, and so he's going back there next year. It wouldn't shock me if he's on team. He and Nordland probably are on Team Sweden's roster for the
I
World
think.
Junior Summer
Oh yeah,
Showcase.
Nordland. Yeah, I thought he was. For some reason, I thought Nordland was older than he is. But yeah, I would think. I'm still waiting for them to announce. Canada and US have announced, but Sweden has not announced as of today. So,
Which is the 10th when we're recording this.
yeah, and it's coming up at the end of the month, so you would think they would announce. But I would also like their odds because Nordland has played a little bit with this group. Ekberg has played a lot more with this group, and especially after his U18 showing, it's kind of almost impossible to take him out because if you do, you're taking out your best player from that tournament. So
Yeah, and I mean, he's had a lot of experience with the U18 team this year.
yeah.
I think with Ekberg, excuse me, the goal here is just again you take a very smart, shifty offensive forward. Probably not going to score a ton of goals for you. I don't think the shot's like going to stand out and beat a ton of NHL goalies. I think he's going to rely on the hockey sense to get pucks in the net. But this is a guy that I think, when you're drafting in the 7th round, your hope is that you get a player that can give you pro games. And I think Ekberg could potentially play NHL games, and that's why you like that pick.
Yeah. I was a big fan. I had somebody ask me recently, I think somebody asked under one of the prospect account posts was like anybody that like disappointed you. I'm like, no. For camp, which is what the last little thing we'll go over, is anybody that kind of like stuck out at camp. But prospect development camp should be taken seriously to an extent, but it should not be the end all be all of what you think a prospect will become, because it's more of a, hey, you guys are all our prospects. We want to get you to our NHL facilities. We want to kind of show you this is what you need to do to become an NHL player, and this is what an NHL player does. So it's more of that, just like a kind of like a showing the ropes, but it's also good for the coaches to get eyes on them. So for me, well, we can just go player by player if you want.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not.
was going to say
This won't take too long because I pulled up my day 3 recap, which has like the guys that stood out to me over the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
The first guy I want to talk about, who's going into a gigantic year, at the University of Michigan is Jaden Perron. Um, the past 2 years, I've honestly walked away impressed with what I've seen because he's a 5'9" guy. I think he's listed at 5'9", 5'9", 5'10",
Yeah,
something like that.
the 5'9's generous.
Hey man, but for a player of his size to be willing and wanting to go to the middle of the ice and take away that space for himself is extremely interesting. He had a goal, or at least a chance in one of the like full ice scrimmage where he just went to the middle against two defenders and somehow came out with the puck past them. And that is something that you like to see out of young guys, is having the wanton drive to just go to the middle and beat players like that. It's not what you should do all the time because you're going to get killed since you're 5'9" and it's a generous 5'9", but it's something that I like to see. And his shot is good, his playmaking is good, his skating is great, and he's going into a big year at the University of Michigan where he really does need to show next level ability.
Yeah, the notes that I had on Perron was that he looks quicker than last year. He's really able to pick his spots with the shot. I'd say he's one of the more interesting shooters. He was another guy that I was kind of considering to have like one of the better shots in the system.
Yeah.
The small area skill is interesting. I think that Perron's biggest issue is that he can't bounce off of contact as well as some of the other small forwards in the system can. Like, he really struggles against bigger competition. Like, not like Seth Jarvis and Jackson Blake can take contact and move past it. Perron's not quite there yet, and that's the step that he needs to make. He's also, while he's a really good shooter and he's fairly accurate, he misses the net a lot because he's trying to be perfect.
Yeah, they lose their perfectionism, man.
I think instead of settling, sometimes you got to settle for a low danger shot or a low percentage shot and generate a rebound. And I think Perron sometimes, struggles with that. Really liked it though. I think there's a tangible jump from where he was last year, and I think that's really what you're hoping for at these camps.
Yeah, show some signs of progress. So just just show progress. Next up was one of the goalie invites that we both kind of went. It was one of Philip Ekberg's teammates. We were both kind of intrigued by what he was. Wade Minter on BlueStack said that he had a daughter that interned for the Ottawa 67s and said that she was really hoping Jaden Nelson gets drafted. And I kind of see why that you want him to get drafted, because he seems like a very nice person, but also his goalie style is interesting, in which he is extremely explosive attacking the first shot, the first attempt.
Mm-hmm.
His scramble after that, you mentioned it, was interesting at times, but his explosiveness as a goalie is definitely something interesting, and it's a guy that probably will get an invite to the showcase in the fall, summer, whatever they want to call the end of August, early September. But he's definitely an interesting goalie that it surprised me and made me kind of grow to like him as a prospect in the future if they do ever end up signing him, because he looked really interesting.
Yeah, he's an explosive goalie. Like, really good pushes with the pads. Like, he made a lot of really nice moves laterally to make some saves. The issue that I had with him was not so much the rebound control, because I think that was also pretty decent. It was tracking the puck after a rebound and then moving to it. He struggled somewhere in that, and I'm not as nuanced with goalies to kind of explain the technical or the maybe reasons why that happens, but I'm going to do a visual with my hands for the people that are watching the video. It's like when he would make the save, it would be like he'd stop, oh crap, and then move over. And then I think somewhere between the oh crap and the movement, or even between the save and the oh crap, something changed.
Yeah.
And so that's just something to work on. I mean, he's not the biggest goalie at 6'1", but I think this is I put he's really good at tracking the puck on the first shots, really good explosive movement. There's the framework there of something you can build on, at least,
Yeah.
potentially.
I don't disagree with that. I'm interested to see. I hope he does get invited to the showcase in the summer, because I think he'd be a
I
nice
think
little,
he will.
yeah, him
If
and
the Kings will need
Rebick.
goalies, I mean, right now
Frolov
it's
goes
just
back, so
yeah. Frolov will be back. Hazaev will be here. It wouldn't shock me if they get him
well,
some
I don't.
games.
He's still in Russia, so.
Right, but no, he'll be at camp
Oh yeah.
because this happens. The showcase happens right before training camp does.
Oh
So
yeah, that did happen.
yeah, so he'll more than likely be on the roster, and it wouldn't shock me if both of the invite goalies, him and Ben Hrebic,
Yeah.
are there, because I doubt they go with Miftakov.
No, he's way too old. He's
And
25, man.
yeah, I doubt they bring Miftakov in to do
See,
any of that.
25
So
is old when we're talking prospects, so.
yeah, so
Um, yeah, I think it'll probably just be Nelson Hrebic and then maybe Hajayev, but I don't know about Hajayev. But in any case, I also had the note I have is just I really hope the Canes sign Yaraboy. And I'm gonna continue pounding the desk. I'm not going to, because I don't want to break the desk, but I'm gonna keep pounding the desk because um the skill that he possesses, I don't think he really got a chance to showcase it with Vityaz at all last season. You could see in the drills that he's very shifty. He's very good with the puck on his stick. His off the puck movement is interesting, but more importantly, the same thing I mentioned with Perron is that he wants to go to the middle of the ice, and he has a willingness to get there, and the defensive understanding of what he needs to do in the middle was something that Matt, you noticed, and I kind of picked up on later. But we also got to speak with Yaraboy, so um we we asked him about that, like, hey, is becoming a center what you want to do? And the answer was just a flat yes. It's something I want to do. That he wants to become a center, wants to have the ability to do that. And I think that's big, especially because the center pool is just disgustingly bad outside of maybe Serato. But like, Suzuki's older for a prospect. Robida is good, but he seems like he might be more of a wing guy in the future at the NHL level. Um, he just seems like a player that could become something, and I would be upset if they don't sign him to a contract. But he's also 21. But I think he has more to show in North America than he has to show back in Russia. Also, Spartak Moscow already has like 18 forwards signed for next season, so he doesn't need to go back anyways.
yeah, Yarovoy is another player whose dog per 60 is pretty high.
100%.
And I think the thing that I like the most about him is, yeah, he gets to the middle of the ice often, but like he's also working harder than anybody out there
Yeah.
and having a blast. Like he's the type of player that was just smiling throughout all the drills. Like you could tell he was just happy to be here. Like,
Yeah,
but
man.
not in like a he sucks happy to be here kind of way.
No, he
Just
was
like
just happy.
he is just thrilled to be living, and that's a really good attitude. I think, like, you know, with Yarovoy, like he expressed to us his desires to stay in North America
Yeah.
next year. Like, I think there's a chance that he does. Like, I could see him playing for Chicago next year. I think he does have more skill than I think I initially thought. Like skating wise, I think it's still not perfect. It's a little clunky, but it's so much better than it was when he was drafted. Like even when he was drafted, I remember the Canes saying like his skating had taken some pretty major strides in recent years, and like there's a very tangible jump. Like watching his KHL tape to now, it's like, oh wow, like okay, this is a guy who went from like being a really awful skater to passable. And like we saw with Jackson Blake this year, like that type of player can play. Like Jackson Blake, he moves and he keeps his feet moving all the time, but he's not quick.
Yeah.
And Yarovoy is quicker than that, not much quicker, but he's quicker than that, and is another player that just keeps his feet moving constantly. So I think if he does end up signing and staying in North America, he's going to be a guy that like truly becomes a fan favorite just because of how he works. And I don't know, he seemed like he was having a blast out there and really enjoyed it here. He even said like he wants to stay here.
He wanted to stay. He enjoyed his time in North Carolina. He also, after the final day, him and I want to say Avramov, who I'll also talk about in a minute, but him and Avramov and one of the other Russians like genuinely went over towards the glass where all the people were and like clapped and saluted them for just being here. And when we spoke to him, he also thanked all the fans for supporting him. And it's just hard to root against a guy like that. He's a very nice person. He seems like a very good person. I think there's a lot of things that he could do better, I think there's a lot more things he can do in North America than he can do back in Russia. And also, whenever you mention skill, you have no idea how pissed I was. I didn't record his shootout goal on video because, dear
That was
Lord,
fun.
dude, I described it as Pavel Barber-esque because that's the only thing I could actually compare it to. It was just so ridiculously good. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was one of the. It was an Instagram ass move.
Hey, it worked.
I know it was great. It was fun, but like it was definitely an interesting. Like it was definitely one of those moves that you would expect to see on Instagram. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like
Which is why I described it as Pavel Barber, because that
yeah.
makes the most sense to me. The last guy that I will talk about, take the lead on, was probably my favorite forward to watch in camp, and maybe it's just because of the nickname, even though apparently they don't know the uncle lore amongst prospects, and he did not want to call himself uncle, which made me a little upset personally. But I his play style is sick, and I thought he had a really rough year where he experienced the Russian hockey system. But he is a 6'3", 205-pound, like true power forward. Fyodor Avramov, big unk. He endeared the first time I've ever gotten to watch him in person. And truthfully, I didn't watch a ton of HK Sochi games for pretty obvious reasons. He really wasn't getting game time. And then I watched maybe one or two Rostov games, but I didn't get a lot of eyes on him throughout the season. Watching this dude in person put a whole new perspective of player on me, because the way he skates, the way he's able to go around defenders, his shot, and the way that he just plays the overall sport, the way he is on ice outside of getting slammed in the knee with a puck, he genuinely looked like one of the best. Whenever he was playing, he looked like one of the more improved forwards to me, just because, and again, first time I got to view him, it's one of those things. But I genuinely thought he was one of the better players in camp, at least one of the better forwards, because what he could do with the puck, like driving offense, was insane, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it was funny. The first thing I noticed about him was that he's 6'3", and when he was standing next to some of the other guys, he looked small.
Yeah,
and that just shows you how big some of the players are in the Canes system. But with him, Avramov showed a lot more skill than I think we thought he had. Like, Sochi is awful.
Hey,
like
he still plays for them, so we gotta relax over there, big fella.
No. I think we can have a prospect playing for them and still admit it's a dog ass team.
Hey man,
like they're not good. They're a bad KHL team, but he would make them better.
Well, they just revamped their entire coaching system. They also
Right.
revamped a lot of their roster, but I think he's playing more with the VHL team this year. So
And even if he does, that's still a better league to stay in.
yes, because he does not need to play for the MHL team anymore. Please do not send him to Capitan Stupino. He has no reason to play for that team anymore.
And I think, just seeing him play at a high level is important. Like, this is a guy we drafted in the 7th round. Like, it's going to take him quite a while to develop. But there's some
those tools.
6th
man.
round. Excuse me, he was a 6th round pick.
Those tools, man.
He has a lot of them, and it's very interesting. He's one of the bigger forwards in the Kings system. I thought the skating was good. The shot is really impressive. There's some good small area skill there. He's a long way away, but early returns are impressive.
Yeah, early returns that I got to see were like, yay! I'm so excited. I was so happy. You know who they took in the 7th round of that draft, who is really impressive.
Krutov.
Yeah, didn't come to camp though.
He's the one that I got that I mixed up.
I know Krutov was a 7th round pick. That's like stapled in my mind. Is that
it
was a 7th? But anybody that you wanted to specifically mention about this group of people?
I thought Badinka only looked okay.
All right.
It's prospects camp, so I'm not reading a whole lot into it. But like, I was hoping to see a little bit more from him, and I didn't. I know the offense is a work in progress, and defensively, like, he's pretty good. I was hoping for a little bit more from him. I thought like he kind of wasn't that great in the 2-on-1 drills, but it's a camp. We'll see.
Yeah. He gained 20 pounds though since his last.
Yeah, he definitely looked stronger, and I think that's important. Like, he's definitely ready for pro hockey.
For what he wants to be at the higher levels, he definitely needed to not be 185 pounds, which also goes for a lot of the other bigger defensemen in the Canes system, or just Vladimir Gurdinin, who is short, but he's like 150 soaking wet. So.
Yeah, he's a tiny boy. I thought Poirier was really good.
Yeah, I
think that he's taken a big step and then will continue to take one at Penn State, or not Penn State.
Oh my goodness, Maine. No, he's at Maine with Bradley's brother.
Sorry, it's another school that has blue in it.
Hey, I went to Maine to watch Scott Morrow and Lucas Mercuri versus Bradley Nadeau, and great city, by the way. That city is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for Vigo Nordland, Lucas.
Wait, was that the pick they used?
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, man.
Fun fact.
It was a very fun in-person watch. Watching Mercury in person was kind of sick.
Yeah.
But, Maine's a nice little college town.
I thought Rykov looked...
Oh, I was... Okay.
Sorry.
I just wanted to say that it's a cold town, so it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's like Canada, but the weather at least is going to be somewhat accustoming for him. But go on Rykov, please.
Sorry. I thought Rykov looked good. I think he definitely could benefit from a healthy season in Russia, so I don't mind that he signed with Tractor.
Oh, yeah. Well, we talked about that a while ago, yeah.
Right, but like I'm saying, like, after seeing him in person, I think it's good that he's having another KHL season before coming over.
Yeah. He and Serrato also got into it, which was kind of funny.
And it was so funny because I know Rykov didn't have a clue what the hell Serrato was saying to him.
We asked Yarvoy about it, and he kind of just went, "Oh." He just said Serrato's a competitor, so he kind of understood it. But Rykov does not know a lick of English, to my knowledge.
Not a clue.
So Serrato was probably calling him something, and Rykov is calling him something, and they both cannot understand a word.
Right, and then that's just...
And then who's in the middle is just Yarvoy going, "Guys,
yeah,
come on, there are fans in attendance, please."
Yeah.
It was just camp was a great experience, though. I think it was definitely
the only other player I want to talk about, because everybody else, I think, I wrote about that, and they stood out, but like, the only other player I want to talk about is Alexander Siriatsky.
Yes.
first time I've seen him, he's
Another big
another
fella.
big, lanky, mobile defenseman. Definitely needs to add a little bit of weight,
One of the 3 they drafted in 24.
but it's clear he's got some skill. Like, he's a big player. I like the upside there. I thought offensively he was a lot better than what I expected. There was a lot more offense, and he was, pretty solid. But I think if he plays KHL games this year, I think this is a player that could pop.
I don't think he will, because I think Metalurg has most of their
I guess
KHL
even if he plays consistently in the VHL like he did last year, like, it's fine.
He earned his way up that. He was sent down to the MHL multiple times, and he earned his way to a top 4 role in the playoffs. So
Yeah,
I tip my cap to that already.
I like it. Blake Biondi's going to be interesting for Chicago this year. I thought
Yeah.
offensively he was really solid. He's another really good competitor.
That dude has a crazy shot too.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the older kids. Obviously, he and Josh Nadeau were older, but
I'm
I
still
think that
rooting
was
for.
fine.
I will still forever root for Josh Nadeau.
Yeah, and then I think just the rest of the guys were fine. Nothing really crazy to talk about.
We mentioned the guys that we talked about because they stood out more to us. But
Yeah,
we're not saying that somebody sucked. We're
no,
just
nobody.
saying
I
that
would say that everybody at camp deserved to be there. Like,
everybody had moments as well.
we mean like the Nils Juntorp thing because it was
Hey,
he kind of came out of
he
nowhere.
had a couple good plays.
But no, like he was like, you could see, like, okay, like, this is why Carolina acquired him. They at least
Why he was drafted in the first place as well.
yeah, like, you can at least see, like, oh, okay, this was the reason why you got picked.
Yeah. Okay, very last thing we'll talk about, and you kind of already mentioned it earlier, but it is something that we probably do need to talk about because the Canes prospect did get traded. Timur Cole got moved to Dynamo Moscow. Not, I have gotten Dynamo St. Petersburg and Dynamo Moscow very confused before, but he has been traded.
And it's
to
also not Dynamo Minsk.
No, because Russia has multiple teams that use Dynamo, and it is so awesome and not confusing in the slightest. I appreciate that. Yeah, he got moved to Dynamo Moscow. He was I mean, he's a 6th round pick, but I honestly, from watching him this year in the few KHL games that he did play, and mainly in the MHL playoffs where I got genuine viewings of him, that's a guy. That he's definitely a dude, in my opinion. I got higher on throughout the year. In the MHL playoffs, he was doing the Nikishin and eating minutes.
It's like almost 30 minutes a game.
In the final, I'm seeing 22, 25, 20. I'm rounding up to 25 there. 26, 24, 30 in game 7.
Yeah.
He eats minutes. He is I would call him a great skater now. And he needs to get, weirdly enough, for a dude that's 6'4", 205, he needs to use his body more. But he's smart. His offense is there. He didn't flash it a ton. It's there. He ran a power play for most of the year. I think he ran the second unit. Somebody outside the first unit, but I think he ran second unit. But there's a lot more to like for that. And Dynamo Moscow, I don't think he'll get KHL time. And then it starts becoming the conversation of, oh dear God, how much involvement is Roman Rotenberg having with this young man? And I go, oh dear God, please don't. I will get sad because Roman Rotenberg is a gentleman, but he obviously really liked Timur Cole because he was playing KHL games at 18. But I would prefer them to just let him go to the VHL. My personal would be the VHL, and just let him get consistent game time there comparatively to just, even though him and Kerbin might be sick in the MHL together, but
I think with somebody with Timur's experience, he gets pro games.
You're saying KHL?
VHL's pro too.
Oh yeah, I forget. I say I forget, but that's like, yeah, I'm on one. But yeah, no, I'm looking at Dynamo Moscow's defense. So, if I'm going just off name value immediately, Frederick Clayson, that's a name.
Oh, throwback.
Magomed Sharakhanov, who didn't get drafted this year when people thought he would have. Danil Pylenkov, I can pronounce Russian names. It's not hard. He's an older defenseman who was taken by Tampa a couple years ago. I want to say some of these other. I think Artyom Sergeyev. Like, he's more than likely a VHL guy, which I'm not going to complain about because he should be a VHL guy. He shouldn't be playing MHL minutes anymore because he has nothing more to prove at the MHL level.
Yeah.
So just let him go to the VHL and just let him play. Okay, I think that's it. Pretty sure that's it. I don't think there's anything else that we've missed, anything else we need to talk about. We covered camp, we covered the draft, we covered Timur Cole getting moved. Anything more you need to say?
I don't think so. I think, we've pretty much covered everything that's happened, Not that there's going to be much more happening between now and the next time we record, but you never know.
I mean, if something monumental happens, maybe we'll come back for like a 2-minute episode and be like, hey, this happened. Here's our opinion.
I guess we could say Ryabkin got drafted by Charlottetown but hasn't signed yet.
Yeah, I can go either way on that one. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to Charlottetown. I think it might be a decent step for his development. I wouldn't be shocked to see him stay in the USHL. Either one.
I was going to say, they're pretty comparable leagues at this point, so.
Either you get to live in Charlottetown, which I have no idea where it is, or you can live in Muskegon, which I honestly still have no idea where it is.
I believe that's Michigan.
Sure, I'll take your word for it. All right. This has been Developing Hurricanes. We'll be back sometime in the future, probably. And
we'll be back eventually.
Sometime down the line. Probably I would say another month, but I move in a month, so maybe one more before I move, and then we'll figure it out. But in any case, thank you for listening, and we'll be back later, obviously.